All right. There we go. Now the levels are good. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. There it goes. Why did it do that? All right. Hello, everybody out there in Radio Land. We love you, and we're glad that you're all tuned in. We're having a little bit of some sort of an issue online, it looks like maybe. It says it's scheduled, but I don't think it's actually going on right now. But we'll see how that goes. Anyway, we're going to jump into the show no matter what we got going on right now. Yeah, it still says the same thing. It's weird. I don't think this thing is actually recording. Well, you know what? We'll fix that. We'll fix that. All right, I guess it is live. Okay. I guess it wasn't showing up. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. You're listening to The Divide here in your ear, having the conversations that you need to hear. This is The Divide with Marcus C. Williams, and we are on WRFZ LP 106.3 FM. Thank you guys for tuning in today. We've got a great show for you. We're going to jump right into it. We got a lot of things to discuss. And if you want to be part of the conversation, drop a comment below or just give me a American flag or a thumbs up. Let me know that you're out there. Say, hey, because all of that helps the algorithm get it out to more people. And do hit that share button. It don't cost you nothing. So let's start the show off with everything that's on everybody's mind right now, which is the attempted assassination of Trump again. What are we on? 4, 5, 10, 24? I can't even keep count anymore. You know, it's like every week they try to assassinate this man. It's a serious issue. But we see that it's a serious issue because there are these people that continue to promote that he's a vile, evil human being and he should be extinguished and all of this and all of that and just terrible things, right? Terrible, horrible things. And then all of a sudden, everybody's surprised when people make attempts on his life and they're like, oh, he shouldn't do that. Our representative for the House of Representatives, where I live, Joe Morelli, always is dogging Trump, saying, oh, he's this terrible person. He's that terrible person, blah, 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 blah. Trump's this, Trump's that. And I'm like, dude, enough already. How about you just do your job, right? Like, you're our rep in the House of Representatives. How about you address the issues in the House of Representatives instead of playing political party? You actually do something about actual representative legislation. No, that's too much for the Democrats on that side. They don't care because they don't care about representation for you. They care about what's going to keep them in power. And that's a terrible travesty. And to be honest, I'd say that for many of the other ones that are on the other side of the thing too, in the Republican Party. But with the Democrats, we see them trying to lambaste all of the people that are not Democrat, right? Like if you're a Republican, if you're somebody that cares about your country, oh no, perish the thought, you can't care about your country. That's not a thing. Forget that. And you'd be like, well, you're American, you're somebody that's supposed to be supporting Americans. How come you think that it's bad for us to care about our country? You know? But hey, we see it for what it is. And people will say, oh, well, unity this and unity that. How can you have unity with a group of people that want you dead? Explain that to me like I'm 5. How can you want unity with somebody that wants you dead? You know what I'm saying? Like, people will say, oh, well, that's not a real thing. Do you listen to the internet? Do you watch the television? Like, these people honestly want anybody gone that doesn't have their same mentality or concept or believe the same things that they do. I live in New York State, and Governor Kathy Hochul told us to get out. If we're conservative, if we're Republican, we should leave the state. She doesn't want us here. That's what she said out her mouth. You know, Cuomo echoed a similar thing before when he was governor. So what is this? What are we really talking about? You know, it's very clear that they'll paint anybody any type of way if they disagree with them, essentially stripping them of their ability to redress their grievances with their government, which is their First Amendment right? Leave if you don't like what we're doing. And if you don't like what we're saying, that's wild. That's wild. And if only it were so simple to leave New York and then go somewhere else when New York is exporting all its crazy up and down the Eastern Seaboard. They've taken over, they've taken over Virginia. They've taken over much of the Carolinas. This is a serious problem. It's really, really, really crazy. This guy says that it's natural instinct eliminating opposition. Now, this guy is clearly a leftist. Okay, that's posted this here. He's clearly far left, and this is what he's saying, right? I agree with him. That's exactly their thought process. He's showing exactly what they're about. They want to completely eliminate and eradicate anybody that does not share their same sensibilities. And here, this gentleman goes right here, not that he's a gentleman, but that he's an individual online that's telling the truth. Because they say these types of things all the time. They want to get rid of you if you will not bow the knee to them. And we see this more and more in everyday conversation with people in the neighborhood, people in the community. They'll blackball you if you say something that they disagree with. They'll try to silence you if you're in a corporation, in a business, and they don't like your political views or whatever. They try to get rid of you or get you fired or whatever, This is happening more and more and more. The ostracization of people with other points of view. And this is sad because this only happens on the Democrat side. This does not happen on the Republican side. Sometimes there's some issues internally, which we'll get to in relation to that inside of the Republicans because of all of these leftists that have been trying to migrate over to the Republican Party because they want to try to take over and they want to push these ridiculous narratives that aren't even true. They try to sweeten and soften the message to make it more amenable to Democrats, slowly moving the Republican Party more and more to the left. But we'll talk about that in a minute. I want to get back on the topic of the attempted assassination of President Trump. So I've been to the venue many times. That I go probably twice a year there, so I go there all the time. I've been there. I've seen him speak many times. There probably about 4 or 5 times I've seen him speak there, at the same venue. Fun fact, that is the actual hotel that Ronald Reagan was shot at. So that's interesting. Was it Reagan or Nixon? I think it was Reagan, yeah. Anyway, it's not important. So one president was shot there. They tried to kill him there before. Now we got the new president and they tried to kill him. This is sad because we see so much of this happen over and over and over again. Violence against political adversaries and stuff like that, right? Why are you having violence on somebody that you don't like? And then if you look at the guy that did it, allegedly he's a teacher from California. I'm kind of with Trump when he says that people are central casting. Are these people all characters in some sort of a hiring agency? Or has the CIA purposefully tapped these individuals to do all types of crazy stuff? Maybe it's not the CIA at all. Maybe it's Israel. Maybe it's a foreign entity that's outside of our concept of interfering in American politics. Maybe it's a wealthy billionaire or just some crazy lunatic that decided that they wanted to do this. There are so many options, but one thing that concerns me very much is we've got these people out here that are like, oh, well, it's a what did they say? Oh, it's a false flag. Okay, I hear you. It's a false flag. If that's what you think, why is it a false flag? Right? Not why is it a false flag? Why do you know? Why is it a false flag? What is the benefit? Right? So these are the conversations that need to be had. So as far as a conversation on what would be the benefit from this, I'd say not enough for it to be a false flag. I'm going to use air quotes on that, false flag. But it definitely will help move along the progress and give more strength to the fight for the ballroom to be built. That's going to be a thing because it's supposed to be a more secured facility and so forth. And we've already seen that come out from the press secretary as well as the president saying that now the president wanted to go back inside after they were firing shots outside. He was like, let's the show go on. He really wanted to continue that night. I'm not mad at him. I probably would have too. But for security purposes, they pulled him out of there because they didn't know whether it could be any more shooters, whether there could be a explosive, whatever. They didn't know. So I respect that. I respect security for trying to do that, but I definitely would have been like him and been like, I want to stay. I want to finish this. Nobody's going to stop this show. So what we know about the shooter is that he was some crazed individual that hated Trump. He had a whole manifesto. And Obama came out and said, well, we don't know what his motive is. Shut up, Obama. Shut up. All the damage that you did to our country. And you owe me money personally. I got beef with Obama, personal beef. He owed me money. That's a whole separate conversation for another time. That's based off of the Affordable Health Care Act. If you didn't have insurance, he charged you and stuff like that. Now you're going to charge me for not having your government-sponsored insurance. Sound crazy. He owes me money. I want my money back with Bitcoin interest, okay? Let's be real. But anyway, shut up, Obama. Who are you to say anything on any of these issues when all you've done is push and promote division? Who did you unite? Nobody. You pushed all of our people in our country into more and more boxes, separating more and more people. When he was in office, he attacked the church. When he was in office, he attacked the family. When he was in office, he attacked everybody. Like, this is a serious problem, but we can't have that conversation because if you ask a Democrat, Obama is the second coming of Christ. And that's a serious issue. But back to the point at hand, hit that like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing. If you want to be part of the conversation, drop some comments and we'll see if we can pop your comment up on the screen. So as we're talking about this engagement that happened, we had a shooter try to rush the security of the event for the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Now, if you know about the White House Correspondents' Dinner, last year Trump didn't go. I mean, well, when he was in president, he didn't go either. I don't think a couple times he hasn't gone because he doesn't like the press corps. Not overall in whole, but a lot of them, they paint him bad. They talk bad about him like a dog. You saw what Jimmy Kimmel said the other day about Melania. Said, oh, she's radiant like a woman who is expecting her to be a widow soon. Like, what type of crazy stuff? Like, and then people are like, oh, well, they don't talk and preach death to other people. What is that? What is that? Is that preaching life? Explain it to me as a whole, what that is. So that's a conversation nobody's willing to have. I live in a city that is predominantly Democrat. They have all the positions of power and everything. And if you have or express an idea that's different than those, they try to silence you. They try to shut you up. And I'm not talking about necessarily people in power. I'm talking about everyday people. They'll threaten you and stuff like that. They'll want to fight you for facts and actual information. I was trying to explain something to somebody the other day about city policies, and they wanted to fight me over expressing something that the city put in place. They're like, that's not true. Last year, you guys, our city put in place not a piece of legislation, but they passed 9-0, an amendment to our charter that says that men can be in the bathrooms, dressing rooms, shower facilities with little girls or women. Men, grown men, and people say, oh, well, that's you're homophobic or you're transphobic or whatever. And I point out to them, I said, in the legislation, it doesn't say anything about homosexuals or transsexuals at all. Okay. So what even are you talking about? It doesn't mention them. It says in the legislation that it's based off of your gender identity, right? Like, that's not either of those things. It says in there, it's based off your gender identity or, and this is the killer part, or your gender expression, not and. That's the scary part, not gender identity and gender expression, or, right? So you could be a whole 600, 680-pound man, okay? Looking like a water bison going in the bathroom with little girls. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is crazy. But somebody told me, oh, that's not true. That didn't happen. I'm going to fight you, whatever the case is. You're going to fight me over explaining to you a policy that is actually real. This shows you how these people are completely disconnected from reality, and all that they have is violence. These people are vile, they're evil, they're maniacal, and they will work avidly against anybody that expresses any difference of views of the actual reality in the world. And that's a problem. That's a serious, serious issue. So we wonder why they went to go attack President Trump, because this guy and his manifesto, he said, oh, well, President Trump is, President Trump did a 60 Minutes interview yesterday. He did a 60 Minutes interview, and the lady was like, yeah, in his manifesto, it was saying, oh, that Trump is a pedophile and he's a rapist and he's this and he's that in the guy's manifesto. Remember, this is the manifesto that the guy wrote that 60 Minutes is talking about, that Obama said, we don't have a motive. Well, it's very clear that there was a motive. He wrote a whole manifesto in which he also professed anti-Christian beliefs and that he hated Christians and wanted to kill Christians. So that's another problem, because we don't talk about the murders or the attacks on Christians or the continued burning down of Christian churches that are just so matter-of-factly ironic. Like, this is a very, very, very serious thing. But we can't talk about that. Somebody said they're off their meds. I don't think that they're off their meds. I believe that these people are on their meds. And that's the problem. We know the issue with SSRIs and antipsychotics and stuff like that, and the impacts that they have on their brains. You know, we see that the largest amount of people that are taking those type of antipsychotics and SSRIs and stuff like that are liberals, are leftists. They did a whole couple of studies on this, and I want to say it was not the Washington Post, it was the New York Times that actually published an article about those things. Maybe, I don't even know. In the last year, it was within the last year that they published that. And I found that to be very interesting. But it shows how these things impact and influence your thoughts, your physicality in your body, okay, your body physiology, and your ability to reason. It's like how females that are on like these different things for, I guess you call them birth control, if that's what you want to call them, but these different drugs for birth control, that they're more attracted to limp wrist men, weak, soft Sallies. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what they're attracted to because they're on these drugs. But when they get off of those drugs, they're no longer attracted to those types of men. So there's really something to say about how America is so heavily medicated and how it's more easy and simpler now than ever to really brainwash people, you know, and people are like, oh, you can't brainwash people, this, that, and the third. Hypnosis is real. Like, what are you talking about? Hypnosis is real. Mind break is real. Like, I don't know what's going on that people are like, oh, no, this couldn't possibly happen. Yes, it can. Conditioning is real. You know, like, you hammer people day after day, Republicans bad, Republicans evil, Trump bad, Trump evil. Well, people are going to start believing it. These people are Nazis. These people are the enemy. Da 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 da. And like our leftist friend out there in the YouTube comments said, it's only natural to want to get rid of and eliminate your enemy. Well, what is it? Why, bro? Like, how is that like your enemy? Like, other Americans are your enemy because of what? Because they think different, because they believe that you should go and take a different direction to get to the same result that you guys want. Please make it make sense to me, you know? And I believe very firmly that we need more unity, okay? I believe that a house divided is not able to stand, you know? But that comes from a firm foundation, and that's been eroded again and again and again, bit by bit, chip by chip, okay? The foundation of our nation is being eroded. And we see that with many of the policies that are out there. You look at this whole stuff destroying the family. right? Promoting abortion, promoting elder murder, and I put promoting abortion and promoting elder murder, I put those two right together. It's the same thing. One murders the unborn and one more murders the elderly. What does that do? Take people off the tax roll. So we have to spend less tax money on them. And it's easier to control a population when there's less people. People need to wake up. They're not doing it because they believe that they're being compassionate. They're lying to you and selling you that it's compassion when really it's about control and power. That's all that abortion is about. That's all that elder side is about, what they're calling medically aided induced death. That's all that that's about. Power and control. And let's take a moment and start to talk about power and control, because that's a very important issue that people aren't talking about right now. As we see what's going on right now in our government, the government is expanding its power, and they'll say, oh, well, it's Trump and it's the Republicans and it's the this and it's the that. Hold on, pause. Because if you listen to me for some time, you know that I believe very firmly that it's the elites at the top of the pyramid, okay? And it doesn't matter when you're at that level in the game, it doesn't matter what political affiliation you're in. It's the people at the top are working together in coordination, whether you know it or don't know it, because they know what's best for them. Just like George Carlin said, it's one big, it's one big club and you ain't in it. They all go to the same parties. They all have the same bankers. They all take vacations in the same place. They all go to each other's weddings. Like, what are we missing? So when people are like, oh, well, Trump's expanding the government, Trump's doing this, Trump's doing that. What is he doing that the Democrats aren't doing? Trump's actually been trying to shrink the government. And that's something that I'm very much so for, but I am not happy that he's trying to integrate more and more Palantir into the government. That is a serious problem. Palantir is essentially a AI company that does a lot with surveillance and stuff like that. And it's really pattern recognition and building profiles on American citizens. And that's what they do mostly. So that's a very, very serious issue, because now they're in like every branch of government and they're trying to connect all the records together and this and that. It's increased government surveillance and it's a serious problem. At some point, maybe we'll talk about that, but I don't think that a lot of people want to. And a lot of people don't even know about it. And others that are told about it can't be bothered. Hit that like button and hit that share. It doesn't cost you nothing. Help get the message out there. We need to be having important conversations, and that's what we're going to keep doing. But we need your help to spread the word. So subscribe, like, let's jump back into it. As we have this conversation about the continuing creep of surveillance, look at all of the cameras and stuff that are being put up across our nation, right? Like, none of you are concerned about that at all. And people are like, oh, well, it's for security. It's for security for who? Who's it for security? Because where these cameras are most prevalent are in places that they don't even lock up criminals. They're trying to put all these cameras here where I live, and I'm pushing back against them doing biometric surveillance. You know, it's hard to fight back against everything all at once when you're one individual, but I'm at least pushing back against the biometric surveillance, limiting their ability to use it in public by proposing legislation to city council. And Lord willing, that gets pushed through very soon because we're very close on that. But here's the deal. When we've got people that are out here saying, oh, well, we need more cameras. Somebody told me this earlier. They said, we need more cameras because there's so much crime. I said, are you missing a couple of screws? Because we don't arrest criminals here. And when we do arrest criminals, they get out the same day. Same day. Like, that's not even a joke. Sometimes within a couple of hours, if you talk to some of the officers, they'll be like, we didn't even arrest them for some of the crimes because they'll be right back out. By the time before we finish the paperwork, they'll be out. That's a problem. And you're telling me you want more surveillance? Who is the surveillance really for? Wake up. In different places across the world, you're starting to see more and more digital containment. Let me express to you what I mean by digital containment. It's this concept of 15-minute cities. So go look that up. Okay. And essentially what it is that you're not able to go in and out of a certain radius about 15 minutes from where you live. And that's what they're pushing for. That's why you see all of these traffic calming measures. That's why you see all of these things like, oh, well, we're just trying to shrink the lanes so there can be bike lanes, or, oh, we're just trying to stop traffic accidents because people die from traffic accidents. How many? How many a year die that cause you to do this, that is destroying not just our actual mobility, but ripping to shreds our transportation infrastructure, which is what supports our economy? So how many? Explain it to me like I'm 5, because there's a giant, massive trade-off for you saying that you're going to save one life. And then they'll say, oh, well, you cannot put a price on a life. Every life is precious. Really? Because y'all out here propagating, killing, and murdering babies, make it make sense to me. You're out here propagating, murdering the elders, make it make sense to me. So this is the conversation that we need to have. You're telling me that you're doing this because you think that life is precious. You're a liar. You're a whole bold-faced liar. Don't play in my face. This is about control. And if you've ever seen those stupid, what do you call them? Turnabouts, roundabouts, okay? Or the stupid medians that they're putting in the streets and stuff like that, or how they're taking where it's 4 lanes and shrinking it down to 2 lanes and stuff like that, or these ridiculous bike lanes that nobody uses, especially the sheltered bike lanes. Make it make sense. Why are they doing this, and why are they selling it to you like it's a necessary thing and like it's a good thing? Real quick, you are listening to The Divide on WRFZ-LP 106.3 FM, Rochester Free Radio. This is The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. We appreciate you tuning in. If you're listening on the radio, make sure you tell all your friends, families, and your enemies. Tune into The Divide Mondays, 2:30 to 4 p.m. And if you're online, hit that like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing. And definitely subscribe and follow. If you want to be part of the conversation, drop a little comment in the comments, and I'll do my best to pop it up on screen and make you part of the conversation. And if not, just put an American flag or a, hey, I'm watching, or I appreciate you and your content. That helps the algorithm too. Let's get back to it. So as we have these conversations about what's going on with the continued creep of surveillance, we have to look at what's happening in other places like England, right? Let's take London, for example. They have ULUTs, right? Ultra low emission zones. That's what they call them. It's essentially the same thing that they've implemented here in the US, except the US calls it something different. They call it congestion pricing, right? So this is a common thing that they're pushing all across the world as they promote a tighter noose around your neck. This is why we got to wake up. If you look at England, England is the most surveilled city in the world. In the world. Okay, they got more cameras than they got people. That's a crazy fact. Okay, but the crime is so high, right? So clearly it's not about the cameras to help people. So that's another conversation. But they've got these ultra low emission zones where essentially if you don't live in these upper crust, lottie-dottie, hoity-toity neighborhoods, that you can't travel down there without paying them a tax to go into the hoity-toity neighborhoods in high society. Make it make sense. That's the same thing that they did in New York City, where they call it congestion pricing. Oh, you can't go into the Upper East End without having to, and it's not the Upper East End, right? Like I think it's Midtown. I forget exactly where the dimensions are, but it's where the more so wealthy people live, right? And who does that put a cost burden on? It puts a cost burden on the people that are traveling there for work, that need to travel and drop off goods and stuff like that. But people don't care. Nobody cares about that. Why? Because they've been told that, oh, this is good for you. Okay, it's good for you, right? So if you're told that it's good for you and they're selling it to you like it's good for you, and it's the government that's selling it to you and telling you it's good for you, it's probably a lie. The government does not care about you. Who's stupid? The government has never cared about you. You know, I look at things like George Washington warned us about the government. He's like, yo, don't let the government get too big or you're never going to have any rights anymore, right? The second president of the United States, you know, the John Adams, he was like, yo, if the government takes away your rights, they're not giving them back. So you better stand on business because them rights ain't coming back, especially your liberties and freedoms. And this is what people need to understand. We have been warned again and again and again throughout the history of our nation about the continued expansion of government power, the continued encroachment on our freedoms and on liberty. But far few people listen to that, you know? And they'll say, oh, well, it's okay. It's perfectly fine because it's feels good, or they're telling me it's good, or, oh, they told me, we need bike lanes. And what do we need the bike lanes for? I cycle almost every day, and usually I'll say bike, because I bike largely because the difference between cycling and biking is one is for transportation, the other one is essentially for fun. Like I don't have any spandex, tight shorts. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there are people out there, and it's the spandex, tight shorts people that are the ones that are pushing all this nonsense. They're disconnected from reality, and most of them are disconnected from their testicles. So let's have that conversation. Kevin, let's see. Kevin, I see you there. Dolphin D, he says, it's because bill reform laws that I cannot get the drug dealers across the street from my building from controlling the bus stop. They ruined the lives of many of my neighbors. So, but that's true, right? And it's not about surveillance, right? Because you guys have a lot of cameras outside your building. There's cameras on the corner, and still nothing is being done about the criminals. So this is a serious issue. But people don't understand that. And people don't want to talk about that. And if we don't talk about that and don't get more people to understand what's being done and why it's being done, nothing's going to be the difference. Nothing's ever going to change. But you know what? Trump is the bad guy, right? Just focus on Trump, focus over here on Trump while we take away all of your rights and liberties over here. That's what it is. That's why they push Trump at you if you're a Democrat all the time. Trump is bad. Trump is evil. Trump is this. Look at that guy that decided that he was going to go try to attack the White House Correspondents' Dinner and try to kill Trump, right? He said Trump was a rapist and a pedophile, and I hear that from people all the time. And I don't know that Trump is the best man or the worst man in the world, but I'll tell you two things that I don't believe that he is, because I've seen no proof of it, that he's a pedophile or that he's a rapist. There's no evidence or even suggestatory stuff that would suggest that, except that one crazy lady, what was her name? Eugene, what's her name? If you guys remember that crazy lady's name, put it in the comments. Eugene, whatever her name is, crazy sexual deviant lady that she is. I saw her on Anderson Cooper. Now, Anderson Cooper is a homosexual male, married to a whole dude and everything, right? And she was like, I felt scared for him because she looked like a whole predator on his show. Like she was salivating over getting her claws into him. Like it was like scary, right? Like I was scared for him. Like, but these are the type of people that are out there that are propagating these empty and false narratives. Oh, Trump forced himself upon me. And then she's on the news talking about, oh, well, he didn't actually penetrate me or do anything to me, but in my mind it happened. In your mind it happened? Woman, what? And this is the stuff that she said on the news. And we can't talk about that? Like she said that, like there are news recordings of these are the things that she's saying. So so that's a nothing burger there. And then on top of that, we see the type of women that Trump likes, right? Trump likes white blondes, right? So there's nothing that would give you any reason to believe that he likes little children or anything like that. So this is a very serious issue. When you accuse somebody of something like that, when you paint them as being a pedophile and you have no information, like, right? Like you're like, oh, well, he's a rapist because of E. Jean Carroll or whatever. Okay, well, that's not true, but that's what you're basing it off of. But you've got nothing to base that he's a pedophile off of. And that's frustrating and upsetting, right? It's not upsetting that they're saying that. It's upsetting that they don't have any evidence or anything that would even encourage anybody to believe that that is a thing other than stuff that other people have been saying. It's rumors and gossip, none of which has been substantiated by anything. you know? And that's scary because they do it to all types of people all the time, you know? All types of people all the time because they have to make him bad. They have to make him evil, you know? Like I said, I don't know that he is a good person, but I know that he is not the things that they try to say that he is. And that's a problem. We look at stuff when it comes to elected officials and stuff like that. Nobody expects them to be the best people in the world. But when you're constantly saying, oh, well, this person is evil, this person is that, this, that, and the third, it's a problem. Now you have to ask yourself, and this is important, well, why are the Democrats saying that? Because they want to get back in power. They want a reason to motivate people to work against this man. Why? Because he's actually doing stuff to effectuate change. Now, I'm not saying that they're necessarily going to like him or like the change that he's effectuating, but the fact of the matter is that Trump is effectuating change. And that to them is unacceptable. How dare you change the status quo? How dare you try to shrink the government? They fought him on shrinking the government. Again, you know me, I'm a small government person. I want to shred the government, cut it down 80% easy. Okay? But they're fighting him to shrinking the government. That's crazy. Why don't you want the government smaller? The smaller the government, the less the taxpayer has to pay to all of these people that are in there that are essentially bureaucrats for life. Why is that? Those people should be working in private industry, not indentured to the government. You know, it's no different than being indentured on regular welfare. All of it is the theft of tax money, right? Because you have to pay tax money to pay these bureaucrats. And that's not a slam in the face against bureaucrats. That's a slam in the face against the expansive, continued, overarching growth of the government, right? Like big government bad, y'all. Big government sucks. That's a whole fact. Then we have to get into the fact that in relation to the government itself continuing further and further growth, we have to understand whenever the government grows and gets more bloated and more bloated, it just crushes more of the people. It crushes more of the people. Why do they want to get rid of people? Because they want more power. Why does government bloat affect the people? Because it steals the wealth and rights and liberties away from the people. That's what big government does. Now we take a look and we take a second to go back to the concept of what's going on with these control zones and aerial denial things like the 15-minute cities. Go back to England a second ago, we were talking about, and we look at what's going on there in Oxford, right? Where you can't leave the city without, 100 days? If you're gone more than 100 days in a year, they charge you for not being in the city. That's wild. That's wild. And you can come to the city like 20 times, but then you have to pay to come to the city. That's insane. Like, are we waking up people? Like, this stuff is really going on. Well, how are they actually doing that? Massive surveillance, massive amounts of cameras that they're putting up over there. We need to see that this same type of a pattern is starting to emerge in the United States. It's here already. These flock cameras, these massive different cameras that are being pushed by the so-called police agencies, for your safety, right? It's not for your safety. It's for better government control. There is a piece of legislation, and this started during COVID, and I believe it was reaffirmed a couple of days ago in Congress. And the legislation said that there had to be automatic shutoffs in everybody's car by 2027. But more than that, the automatic shutoffs had to be able to test to see if you were drunk or not. How many car accidents are there that people are drunk drivers in the country to warrant 320 million people to have their cars surveilled and locked down by the government? Make sense to me. And even if there were millions of them, I would never want them to do that, to encroach on that level of surveillance. Now you've got these documents that are coming out from car companies like Ford and BMW and GM and stuff like that, where they're showing these different things and schematics on how they're going to surveil you and monitor your eyes and your facial features and your facial expressions when you get in the car. And if you seem flustered or if you don't seem in the right presence of mind, they're going to shut your car off or won't allow your car to start. All of this, all of that. Well, what if you're in trouble? What if somebody else is in trouble? What if something's happened? You know, that's not okay. That's not something that we should be doing. And then they have it where now it says that the cars, this is Ford specifically, I'm not sure about the other ones, but I'm sure the other ones are the same, that the car is going to read your biometric features and run it against a federal database and a state database every time that you get into your car. What type of insanity is this to make sure that you haven't done any crime? What type of an insanity is this? Worse than that, you guys, and this is what I want to drive home. Worse than that, what if these systems malfunction? Or what if somebody out there doesn't like you and programs it to mess you up? Right? Like, that happens. That can happen, and it definitely will happen. You think that false accusations and stuff are big now? Watch what happens then. Watch what happens then, okay? Maybe you said something the government didn't like this morning. Now you're a criminal. Now your car won't start for you, okay? You say that you didn't like the president's trade policy. Now your car won't start. You know, like, these are serious conversations that we need to have. But a lot of people don't care to have them. They don't care to talk about it. So real quick, let's help get the message out. Hit the like button, hit the share button. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you want to support the show, you go to patreon.com, Rochester Free Radio, and you can donate online. Let me see. Do we have the flyer for the upcoming event we have? What is this? Oh, you can also donate online at rochesterfreeradio.com now as well. So you can do that too. We have an event coming up. I don't have the details in front of me. I thought we had them here somewhere, but I guess we don't. Is that it? Let me see. Hold tight. Yeah, I don't know where they are. I guess not. But anyway, and if you want to support our online stuff that we're doing, either side right here or right down below, you can see how to do that there. But in the meantime, hit that like and share button. Now, let's jump back into it. You explain to me how it's good for the government to increase surveillance when they're talking about auto shutting off your car. You explain to me how it's good for the government to increase surveillance when they're talking about they're going to start limiting your ability to travel outside of your neighborhoods and your communities. You explain to me how it's good for the government to have more surveillance when they're talking about issuing carbon taxes and stuff like that to charge you based on the clothes you wear, how much food you eat, where you go, how much you travel, and all of that. When only the rich people will be able to afford additional carbon credits. And we've seen this already in industry where the government will issue these weird carbon credits that are like tax breaks and stuff to different companies. And then other companies that are not so environmentally friendly, allegedly, that's its whole own conversation. They'll buy those carbon credits from the other companies. You can't afford carbon credits. You're not going to be able to buy them. So this is what we have to talk about. But when you talk about these things, people are like, oh, well, that's not happening. That's not going on. No, it is happening. It is going on. You need to listen to what's going on in Congress. You need to pay attention. All of this, Donald Trump is bad. Donald Trump is evil. All of that's a distraction. All of that's a distraction. And I don't care if you think that he really is evil. It doesn't change the fact that it is a distraction from what the government is doing to us. You understand what I'm saying? One of the favorite things of the Democrats to say is, don't let any good, what do they call it? Don't let any good disaster go, right? Like, you're supposed to benefit from every disaster or every bad thing that happens. Like, that's what they want. So you mean to tell me if they figure, oh, well, this guy looks like he's a bad guy, let me use him to distract from everything that we're doing. It's ridiculous. Excuse me, it's so disgusting, it makes me want to spit. So as we have this conversation, we have to look at certain things. Like right now, last week, we just found out that the Southern Poverty Law Center was funding the KKK, right? They're funding the KKK and other white nationalist groups and all of these other people. And they're like, oh, no, we were just paying informants in there that are fermenting agitation and creating problems and creating racist encouragement and stuff like that. That's all. What do you mean that's all? That doesn't sound very good to me at all. That sounds terrible. That sounds wicked and evil. It sounds like you're a self-perpetuating entity that causes the problem so you can actually try to pretend that you're fixing the problem. Oh, wait, what is that called? The Cloward Pelvin strategy or whatever the case is. If you know what it is called, drop it in the comments. Yeah, somebody says, don't let a good disaster go to waste. Yep, that's exactly it. Somebody put the strategy that I'm talking about in the comments too. It's like cloven, pivin, something. It's slipping my mind. But anyway, essentially, they're creating the problem, and then they're trying to sell you the solution. Like, what type of level of evil is that? What type of evil is that? It's real evil, right? And this is the Southern Poverty Law Center, right? So who are these people that are telling you, oh, well, racism is bad, racism is this, racism is that, right? No, you guys are definitely and desperately trying to keep racism on life support and pushing it. It didn't used to be this way before Obama got in office, and that's a whole separate conversation. But, you know, racism essentially had been dead, and they had to resurrect it, you know? It's crazy. Racism had like one breath left, and they were like, no, so we've got to hook it up to the ventilator. Don't let it die. But if it's your elderly or your babies, they'll kill them. So make it make sense. But this is what's happening and what we're seeing right now. That's the Southern Poverty Law Center. But what about other groups? What about the ADL, right? The ADL does stuff like that all the time. Can we talk about them? No, because the Anti-Defamation League is tied too much to one group of individuals, which you can't name that group of individuals, because if you name that group of individuals, then you're a bad person and they'll label you. Make it make sense, right? Or if you talk about the, what do you call it? The Act Blue, why is nobody in prison over that, right? Like, if you guys aren't familiar with what happened with Act Blue, come to find out that Act Blue have been making all of these fake donations to these Democrat campaigns from people that never actually donated. James O'Keefe went out and investigated that whole situation, and nothing ever got done. Nobody ever went to prison, and they found millions and millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. Now, this is just investigative journalism, right? So imagine if they were the FBI or the DOJ and they actually investigated this. Where is the investigation into that, Kash Patel? Where is the investigation into that? Whoever the new deputy AG is now that is taking over for Pam Bondi. But it's the same thing, right? Where is the action on this? Democrats do terrible stuff. Nobody goes to jail. And Republicans pitch a fit. But nothing is ever done. When will something be done? So you've got the Act Blue situation. Nobody did anything about that. We've got Open Society Project, okay, which is George Soros, which we all know. Not only is it a foreign, is he a foreigner who's interfering in our elections, which we know. Like, that's not even a question, right? Like, that's not even, everybody on both sides accepts it as being a fact. Now his son Alex is all up in and down through it. Okay, but that's a fact. We know that. Why is nothing being done about Open Society? Explain it to me like I'm 5. Now all of a sudden they got the SPLC, and now, oh well, this is an issue, and that is an issue. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. It's very, very frustrating because we see this stuff happen and nothing is being done. Nothing is being done. And every day it's like, oh, new crazy stuff happens. New stuff is going on. New problems are created so that they can try to solve them. It's called cloud pivot. That's what it is. Cloud pivot strategy. So you got to go look that up. Okay. So, but every single day this stuff is going on and nobody says anything. Nobody does anything. What about the media matters, right? Media matters. Go look that whole thing up, right? What about all the shifty money that was going through that and the shady groups that they were influencing and how they were moving stuff with the election and stuff like that? Again, information that we have that we know happened that nothing is being done about. I don't know, you guys. It's like, it's so frustrating and upsetting. You might be like, well, Marcus, well, what can I even do? Why should I even stand up? Why should I even push back? Here's where you can do something. On your local level is where you can make a difference. Because while we might want stuff to change on the federal level, I think that there's a very strong concept that we need more people. We need more people to act. You know, there's the saying, I don't believe you, you need more people. And that's exactly where we are. And it's frustrating because if not enough people stand up, nothing will ever happen. And it's frustrating. And I believe, I don't know where that saying comes from, but it's definitely was in a Jay-Z song. I don't believe you, you need more people. You know, that was in the Takeover on the Blueprint. I think that was the first album, right? Yeah, the Blueprint. But I gotta go listen to that. I haven't listened to that in a while. But you know, this is the problem that we're facing right now. Not enough people that are sound of mind and sound of body are willing to stand up to the government because either A, they don't care, or B, they don't have the time or have some excuse that they don't have the time to even do the littlest. And this is why I encourage you all the time. Get active locally. Go to a school board meeting. Maybe go to a city council or town council meeting. Maybe you go to a county ledge meeting. You know, whatever you can do to actually work to start to listen to what's going on. Maybe you go to a planning board meeting. Maybe it's fire district, whatever. But you have to get active. Nobody is going to do it but you. So you got to stand. And where we can make the difference is locally. And when we start to get more people active, get more people involved, then we can start to engage the federal government on different issues and things like that. What are one of the biggest things that really push elections and stuff like that? Money, funds, again. And if we don't have the organizations like Media Matters or the SPLC or Act Blue or what's the other one I was talking about, Open Society Project, if we don't have as the Republicans, we don't have all of these shady organizations that are funding all of these campaigns for our people, it's got to be up to us. We need to start making more organizations so that we can actually push our own agendas through the same way that the left have an organization for everything. They got to save the tree frogs agenda. They got to make beets only come from Colorado agenda. They got to make trans youths have colorful umbrellas agenda. They got groups for everything. Everything. We don't got no groups. We got no groups. What groups we got? Start naming them. How many can you name? 2, 3? They got 50 million. We got maybe TPUSA, right? That's it. That's it. What else we got? The John Birch Society. Shout out to the John Birch Society. We got the John Birch Society. What else do we got? You know what I'm saying? Like, we've got very few comparatively. And that's a very, very important point to make. So that's why I always encourage everybody locally is where you can make a difference. Start finding your people, the people that are like-minded individuals, and start getting active. Start taking action. Because nobody's coming to save us. And that's for real. So hit that like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing. Drop some comments, even if it's just a wave or a American flag in the comments, because all of that helps. Hit subscribe and hit follow. So as we continue to have this conversation about these very, very important issues, we need to be talking about getting active and getting mobilized, because we look at these people that are running in these different offices, and I'm speaking specifically in relation to conservatives and Republicans right now. And we've got people that are masquerading as Republicans that aren't Republicans at all. Somebody said organized under unorganized gang, organized and unorganized gangs. That's funny. But we got all these people running that call themselves Republicans or conservatives, and they're not. It's a fictitious. We've got these people right now that are out here saying, "Oh, well, I'm anti-MAGA, or I'm not MAGA," and they're calling themselves Republicans. That's just a cover. Don't listen to those people. Don't trust those people, yo. I'm gonna tell you right now. Don't anybody that's out here saying they're not MAGA, okay, that's a Republican. Don't trust them. If that is their wording, if that is their phrasing, do not trust them. I'm anti-MAGA or I'm not MAGA, because that is a trap. They are not conservative. It's got nothing to do with MAGA. Clip this. It's got nothing to do with MAGA. These people that claim that they are Republicans, but say that they are not MAGA, that say that they are anti-MAGA, are not conservative. They're using the terminology to try to say, oh, well, they're not MAGA, to really represent the fact that they don't have any conservative values, that they don't hold the traditional conservative values of the Republican Party, and they are trying to shift our party and our platform more and more to the left. And they've been starting to intercede themselves and input themselves into our different Republican and conservative organizations, slowly drifting us more and more to the left. Now they're out front talking about they're not MAGA. What even does that mean? This has been a challenge that I've had with the left for some time. I'm like, they're like, oh, well, you're MAGA. I don't even know what that means. Make America great again. That I get the concept of wanting to make America great again, but what is somebody that's MAGA? What does that even mean? It's nothing. It's vaporous. It's a foozy. It's a woozy. It's a you know, it's a nobody knows. Nobody can pin that down. What does that even mean? Right? So these people that are Republicans that are saying, oh, well, we're not MAGA. You don't want to make America great? Like, is that what you're telling me? So this is the problem. And for a long time, I've never considered myself MAGA, but I've considered myself always America First, until Nick Fuentes stole the moniker of America First. I could never say him from the beginning. If you go back and watch my videos and posts on him, for years, I've been warning people about him. And now it's coming to light that, oh, well, now he's telling people to vote for the Democrats. And I said, yeah, because that's who he's been working for the whole time. I told you, you know, but sometimes people are hard to learn. What do your parents say? What do your grandparents say? Hard head makes a soft behind. Yeah, so this is why we're in a lot of the problems we are now. But I considered myself America First before that clown. And then I was like, you know what? America First isn't even strong enough, right? So I'm America First, last, and always. But really, it's gotten to the point where I'm so disgusted with so much of what's going on. I'm America only. America only. I don't want to hear nothing about no other country. I don't care what's going on in Timbuktu. I don't care that Leoso is falling into the ocean. They're not. Okay, they're not. They're a mountain kingdom in the middle of a landlocked country. It's not happening. But I'm just giving that as an example. But I don't care. Cambodia fell off the map tomorrow, I wouldn't notice. I wouldn't notice. Like, I don't care about any of the other countries. I only care about America. I only care about American citizens. I don't care about no Mexican citizens. I don't care about no Canadian citizens. And I daggone sure don't care about no Australian citizens, because none of them care about us. If we are in this country together, if we are Americans, we need to care about America. Not about other countries, definitely not about some Nigerians, definitely not about some, what you call them people, Lebanon people, not about some Greece people, not about, none of them. None of them, and definitely not about none of the sand countries neither. Not the Iraq, not the Iran, not the Israel, none of them. None of them, not one of them. It don't got nothing to do with the United States. My concern is the American people. My concern is what's going on in our country. And my concern is what benefits our nation. You know who's really got it down like that? Israel. You know, people give Israel a lot of flack, but I'll tell you one good thing about them is that they care about their own special and personal interests. Unlike America, which it seems like so many Americans here, which I'd like to drop off, strip them of their citizenship and give it to one of these foreigners that would want their citizenship, that really is proud to be in America and stuff like that, because these other clowns hate America so much they want to move. Let them move, you know? So Israel does for Israel. Israel will do against America if it benefits Israel. Why won't the U.S. do that? Why won't the U.S. only look out for itself? Why do we have people in our Congress like Ilhan Omar that's like, oh, I'm working for the Somalian people in Somalia? Fool, you are an American House of Representatives person. You are an American Congress person. And you talking about you serving the Somalian? Man, send her out. Immediately. That's treason. Gone. Her, what's her name? Her homegirl, what's her name? I can see her face. Rashida Tlaib, okay, who calls herself Palestinian, don't got nothing to do with Palestine. That's a whole nother conversation. Fake behind faker, okay? Self-enricher, okay? Anyway, that's a long, I don't even want to go on her like I really want to. That's for another episode. But her too. Oh, she's focusing on these people, not on the American citizens. Fool, what do you mean? Same thing with Chuck Schumer. Same thing, and don't think I ain't got it for some Republicans too. Same thing with Mike Lawler, Maria Salazar, right? Oh, well, we should give these foreigners amnesty and stuff. You should be dunked in a swimming pool, and I don't know about them letting you back up. That's treason. You're talking treason. You're talking direct acts of aggression against the American people. And we're supposed to be okay with that? It's wild. It's absolutely wild. And these are the conversations that we need to have, but nobody wants to have. A lot of people don't know that we've got Republicans right now that are out there pushing massive amnesty. So it's like this. If we've got Republicans and they're pushing amnesty, we got a problem. We got a serious problem. No Republicans should be pushing mass amnesty. And it's like 20 of them right now that are. I'm going to see if I can pull up some of the names of some of the people that are. Mike Lawler, I already said him. We got David Valado, some foreign name, okay? Valadio, Dan Newhouse, Brian Fitzpatrick, and others. Okay, so it's mad at them that are out here calling themselves Republican, but actively working against the American people. Now, I want to get back to these other Republicans that are accepting themselves into the Republican Party that are saying that they're not MAGA, right? What does that mean? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what MAGA means. This is a problem. I appreciate you. Check his comment right there. Yeah, we're gonna please share this. Share this. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and encourage others to subscribe. But this is a problem, right? We've got these Republicans, and I don't like the term MAGA to begin with, right? Because it doesn't represent anything. It's like they're like, it's an assault weapon. What's an assault weapon? The first human was assaulted. The first human murder was assaulted with a rock. Is it an assault rock? Like, how are we putting these vaporous names on things, right? So they're like, oh, well, we're not MAGA. No, you're not conservative. Don't play in my face. Now, if you look at MAGA and you try to say, oh, well, MAGA is related to Trump and that you don't support Trump, come out and say you don't support Trump. Come and say you don't like Trump. Put it out there. Say that. Say that. Say it. Don't try to use coded language on us. You don't like Trump. You don't like Trump. That's cool. That's cool. I'm not his biggest fan. I like his policies, though. A lot of his policies align with mine. But as I said earlier, I don't mess with him on the stuff that he's doing with Palantir. I don't mess with him on the stuff that he's doing with the PayPal mafia, Elon Musk, Larry Ellison, Oracle, Alex Karp, which is Palantir. What's the other guy's name? And the other three from them too. They're all trash. That's a whole nother problem. But I don't like him on those things. Okay. But to say, just say that you don't like him and you don't support anything that he's doing. Don't play in my face. But that's not it, because Trump is a populist. So let's bear with me on this, because we're going somewhere. If you're, clip this, if you're not MAGA and you're calling yourself a Republican, right? You're telling me that you're not conservative. You're not telling me that you don't support Trump. You're trying to use that as some sort of an auspices to say that you're more willing to be on the Democrat side than you are on the Republican side. I see you. But the biggest concern is that if you're saying that you're not MAGA to say that you're against Trump, right? The concept of MAGA is about America and benefiting America. Trump is a populist. That means if you're a populist, that means that you're about serving the people, not about serving the elites. So if you're saying then therefore that you're not for MAGA and MAGA is a populist movement, which is about the people, then that tells me that you're not about serving the people. You're about serving the elites. Hello. Can I get an amen? You understand what I'm saying? And this is how they play you with language. Don't let these people play you with language. Don't let them do it. Don't let them do it. Because if we really chip down on it, if we clip it and we look at it and say, okay, well, if you're using MAGA to represent followers of Trump, MAGA is a populist movement, right? Populism means that it's of the people, of the base people, of the everyday man, of the people on the ground. And you're telling me that you don't support that. That tells me that you're working for the elite if you're not working for the people. You understand what I'm saying? And to put it in better terms, if you were to say that you don't support Trump, you could still be a populist. I don't really consider myself a populist, but I'm definitely about the people. Because there's a couple of issues with populism where it's kind of more like the zeitgeist of the times and not necessarily founded in contemporary principles like conservatism. So that's very important to me. And that's what the Republican Party is founded on and based on, is conservatism. So if you're telling me that you don't care about populism and you're not about that, and you're not conservative, and you're willing to work with the left, and you want to be all buddy-buddy with them and make your messaging softer and be softer with them, for what? Who are you doing that for? Who are you? What you're doing is you're moving the party more and more and more to the left. That's what these people want. They want to move the Republican Party more to the left. I call them the light right. Clip that. The light right are these individuals who have incepted themselves inside the Republican Party, not like rhinos. Rhinos generally are clearly the establishment, but the light right are ones that try to come inside the party. They're kind of like carpetbaggers. Usually they'll come from outside, from the Democrat side or from the non-registered side, and they'll come in to the Republican Party and they'll try to convert people over to their way of thought, to what they believe, and slowly move the party more and more left. More and more left. And they'll say, oh, well, I'm a moderate or whatever the case is. No, you have no values. You have no morals. You're not conservative. You don't have no real business in the party. That's the problem. You can be gay and conservative. Don't get it twisted. Okay. But for you to be in these people and on the light right, these people will use every tactic that they can to try to undermine people that are conservative, that have conservative values, that will stand on business. They try to undermine anything that'll try to pull together the Republicans to stand on business, because they don't want you to stand on business. They want philosophies and principles that are more amenable to the Democrats. We don't want that. The Democrats have gone so far left because exactly like what we're seeing with the light right inside the Republicans now happened with the communists and the socialists on the left. It's the exact same tactic that worked on the left for the communists and the socialists, and now it's being used against us as the Republicans on the right. You understand what I'm saying? This is what we need to be having a conversation about. This is what people need to see. This is one of the most important issues of our time right now in the Republican Party. That's why we can't get anything done. Because we've got people inside our local committees, inside our state committees. Like I just said, Mike Lawler, who is House of Congressman in our state right here, is talking about amnesty for illegal aliens. My town is filled with illegal aliens. We're spending so much money on them. It's ridiculous. The county won't even release the documents on how much money we're spending on them. That's the problem. Then the school district has to set up special programs and bring in special people paying all this extra money for these people that don't speak no kind of English. And guess what? You'd say, oh, well, they speak Spanish. It ain't even Spanish. They speak, I think they said there's something like 30 new languages in our school district that have never been in the school district before. Explain it to me like I'm 5, y'all. Like, this is real serious, and we need to have these conversations, but nobody wants to talk about them. Nobody's willing to talk about them, but we got to talk about them, because if not us, who's going to talk about it? Take 2 seconds, hit the like button, hit the share button. We got to get this message out there. If you're not subscribed, hit follow and subscribe. If you want to support the station, please go to RochesterFreeRadio.com. You can donate right on there to the radio station. You can also do Patreon, Rochester Free Radio on Patreon. And if you want to support us online, you can go either way, this way or down below, depending on your orientation of your screen. This is important. We have so much stuff that needs to be addressed that is not being addressed because we are being sabotaged as conservatives in our own party. In our own party. Even for the things that they'd say, oh, well, you know, it should be something that's a no-brainer. Shrink the government? Absolutely. It shouldn't be any Republican that's against that. That's one of our big principles and always has been, small government, right? Individual liberties and freedoms. No, these people out here, who do you think helped pass that law for your cars to be able to shut off automatically? Okay, who do you think's passed these laws so that your car biometric scans you? Okay, it's not just the Democrats. There are Republicans in on this nonsense too. There are Republicans in on this nonsense too. Let me give you a rundown of some of these other ones that are so-called Republicans that are supporting the amnesty. You got Mike Kelly, Pennsylvania, Young Kim, California. I'm so disappointed with Young. I'm so disappointed with Young. That's a whole separate conversation. See, but that's also why I think we shouldn't let any of the Chinese in here at all. That's a whole nother situation. Okay, because China's working to take over all of California. Do you know that they got one of the people that's ahead of the Board of Elections out there that don't even speak no English? All she speaks is Chinese, and she's not even an American citizen. Make that make sense. Go look that up. Go look it up. Don't believe me because I'm saying it. Believe me because I'm going out my way to tell you. Okay, go look it up. We got Marlon Stansman. There's a name. We got Mario Diaz Ball Art. Okay, we've got Lori Chavez de Reamer. Okay, we've got who else we got? Nick LaLota. I didn't know Nick LaLota was supporting this. Nick, what's up, bro? What's up? What you doing? Nick's part of New York State. He's one of our congressmen, not mine in this district, but downstate. Okay, we've got Neil Dunn. And we've got Jennifer Gonzalez Colon. Okay, half of these people are foreigners. A couple of them have what you call them, dual citizenship in other countries, which we can't name. Okay, and then we've got these other people. Why? Why are you working for amnesty that's only going to hurt Americans? Why are you working for that? We look at Arizona. Go look this up because you can't even make this stuff up. So many people were deported from Arizona, even though they've got that crazy Democrat lady that was the what was it, the Secretary of State? Okay, that crazy lady, she's a problem. But even though they got her, they deported so many people from Arizona that the rent prices have come down. Go look, like you can't make this stuff up. They're down in Glendale, I think it's 15% in Glendale. Like in Phoenix, it's down like 8%. Okay. And somebody was like, yeah, it's like in Phoenix right now, they've got a 2-story townhouse. Okay. 2-bedroom, 2-story townhouse, $1,100. I said, man, that's not that bad. That's, that's a little bit pricey, but that's not that bad, especially not in Phoenix. So this is what's happening. But these people want these illegal aliens to stay here. That is a very, very serious problem. Somebody says sabotaged across the board. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. We are being internally sabotaged. That's why we got to keep these people out of the party. People are like, oh, well, you shouldn't gatekeep. Absolutely, you should. Somebody's got to gatekeep, because if you don't keep the gate, all of the evil's going to come inside. Who's stupid? Who's stupid? You understand what I'm saying? Oh, no, people shouldn't be gatekeeping. Does the White House have a gate? Or is there security people out there? You understand? Does the governor's mansion in New York have a gate? Is there security people out there? Do fortresses have a gate? Is there security people out there? What do you mean don't gatekeep? You shouldn't be letting people in that ain't got no business being in. That's the problem. We've got these people in this mindset. Oh, well, the Republican Party isn't growing the way that we want to, so we should widen our base and be more accepting of everybody and just be like, come in, come in, come in, come in. No, you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't. Stop playing with me. You letting all these people in, and then they're eroding our values, they're eroding our principles, and then you wonder what the heck is going on, why we can't get done what we need to get done, why people that are good candidates, that are real, true conservative candidates built on the rock of conservatism, which is what the whole Republican Party is based off of, okay, are fighting in primaries against these people that are either self-serving or serving the elite. Make it make sense. Texas was a good example of that. The district, I forget the district. It's Ken Paxton and what's his name? Corbin, whatever his name is right now. Corbin was another one talking about mass amnesty. Okay. Wesley Hunt was in that race, but he got knocked out. Shout out to Wesley. I love you, brother. Okay. But Wesley would have been a much better candidate. He's extremely pro-America. Okay. He's very America only, very much so cares about the people, but he got pushed out because of Corbin and the rest of these nincompoops, okay, that are serving these other people. Corbin is a traditional rhino, not necessarily somebody that's the light right, but it makes a good example. We can look at Virginia with what's her name? Katie Barr, okay, who's a Democrat, who's running as a Republican, talking about, oh, I'm a Democrat, I'm just running as a Republican so I can get people to vote for me, so I can get out of the primary, and this, that, and the third. And she's saying this openly. Or the lady in, North Carolina that has the niqab, right? Like she took her picture for her thing in a niqab. Like that's not a hijab, that's a niqab. Like the whole face is covered and everything. Like who even are you, bro? Like what? So this is the problem. And we need to be paying attention because we're too, oh, well, we should be nicer and let everybody in type of stuff. No, we shouldn't. We should be standing on business. That way, people that are in the growing conservative movement, because the conservative movement in America right now is the biggest thing happening in politics, right? The conservative movement. Why? Because the conservative movement is a philosophy that, while it is tied to the Republican Party, is its own philosophy. And this is why the Republicans need to actually stand on principles and values. I want to take a jump back and I want to talk about that guy that went to go try to assassinate Trump over the weekend. They said, oh, well, he had been to some different No Kings rallies and stuff like that. But he was a member of the Wide Awakes, which is a group that's on the left or whatever. No, hold on, pump your brakes. No, the Wide Awakes are not a leftist group. That, again, shows you the Democrats and the left co-opting what was traditionally Republican for their messaging. The Wide Awakes were a conservative Republican group that helped get Abraham Lincoln elected and were very active in New York City and along the Eastern Seaboard. Go look it up. Okay, this is them co-opting it again. It's the same thing that happened with progressive. Do you know that the Progressive Party is actually Republican? The Progressive Party was actually Republican. They were ultra conservative. Ultra conservative. The Progressive Party was the reason why we ended up with a prohibition on alcohol and marijuana. Okay, that's the Progressive Party, not these new leftist lunatics co-opting traditional names of our groups on the right. It's so upsetting and it's so frustrating, and people are letting them go with it. I never, for years, for all of the time since the term progressive came on the stage in the last 6-7 years, okay, or whatever, because it was really not even 6 or 7, it's really about 5 years, maybe 6 years, that this whole term progressive has been out there really like that. And I'm like, no, there aren't any. These are fake. These people are fake. They're these fake neo-progressives. Okay, they're not progressives like our history says. Now they're talking about this dude was a member of the Wide Awakes. No, the F he wasn't. No, the F he wasn't. Okay, it's a fake organization that's trying to masquerade again off of what the Republicans have done. And this is the whole thing. Even the Democrats, even the far left, even the socialists, even the communists see that what the Republican Party has done traditionally has worked, and they are working to co-opt what we have done in the past. And you know who's not working to implement what we've done in the past? The Republican Party. Make it make sense. So disgusting, made me want to spit. This is the problem. This is the problem. Everybody's willing to co-opt what the Republicans have done historically that has worked and that has led us to massive victory, except actual Republicans, because they want to be more open. They want to be more amenable. They want to be more welcoming to all of these other people. Stop it. Stop it. You're destroying us. It's the same thing like the Pope. Oh, well, we should be welcoming to alphabet people. No, you shouldn't. You sound crazy. Y'all out here talking about you're blessing alphabet marriages. Who's retarded? Must be you, because that goes against scripture. That goes against church tradition, and that goes against the church fathers. Come on now. Stop it. It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing. Now, before we go too far, I do want to talk about what's going on with Iran, because right now Iran, not just Iran, but also Ukraine and Russia, all of those groups seem to be looking to come to terms right now. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It'll be interesting. We've got them talking about in Iran, oh, well, if we end the blockade on them, they'll end the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. Hey, man, we'll see what Trump says. We'll see how the negotiations go. I got a lot to say on it and not a lot of time on this episode. Maybe we'll cover it during the week on another show. That's why you should make sure that you follow and subscribe. But we've also got Ukraine and Russia talking about they're ready to come to terms, or looking like they might come to terms. We'll see what happens with that by next week. But I got a very big concern about Ukraine, how they become this massive weapons manufacturer. And you guys know, whoever we give weapons to as the United States of America, they end up turning on us and using our weapons that we gave them against us. Now we've made this weapons manufacturing production hub in Ukraine. Guarantee you they use that against us. Guarantee you that they use that against us. And there's a whole longer conversation about that, but that's for another time. So I encourage you, before we get out of here today, make sure that you start to get active locally. Find out if there is a local committee that you can join, whether it's your town committee for Republicans, whether it's your district committee for Republicans, whether it's your county thing for Republicans. Go out and join, maybe. That's the basis of getting involved in the system. Go to a school board meeting, go to a city council meeting, pick something that you're interested in, planning, fire district, all of that. Get ready to get active, to at least listen to what's going on. That's my message to you. Remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. You guys be blessed and be well. Glory to God. Praise Jesus.